What's shaping up right now feels like one of the biggest NBA controversies ever. LeBron James and Kevin Durant seemed to take a shot at Michael Jordan, but the move didn't land the way they expected. It all kicked off during the Mind the Game podcast with Steve Nash, where KD made a joke about MJ that many felt crossed a line. LeBron's reaction, laughing a bit too hard, only added fuel to the fire. This wasn't the usual back and forth about stats or on-court greatness. The comments hit on something more personal, something tied to Jordan's legacy beyond basketball. And that's where things escalated. Jordan didn't ignore it. He responded in a way that instantly grabbed the attention of the entire basketball world.
He thinks it's funny, but I've got stories that can end it.
But that was only the start. Michael Jordan didn't just brush it off. He made it clear he wasn't here for the disrespect. Instead of getting into wild accusations or distractions, the response shifted the focus back to legacy, mentality, and what separates eras of greatness. Today we're breaking everything down, from the joke that sparked the reaction to the ripple effect it had across the basketball world. Because to really understand how this escalated, you have to go back to that exact moment on the Mind the Game podcast. At first, people online tried to play it off like it was nothing serious. Just another casual NBA conversation. The episode itself was simple: LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steve Nash talking basketball, breaking down the game like they always do. Then out of nowhere, KD slipped in a subtle comment, one of those lines that doesn't sound crazy at first, but the more you think about it, the more it feels like a quiet shot. They were discussing longevity, minutes, and how players manage their bodies in today's league. And that's when KD dropped the line that had everyone looking twice.
You know what I'm saying?
You know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back.
He delivered it so casually, it almost sounded like a throwaway line, but it wasn't. The comment clearly landed as a shot at Michael Jordan. Kevin Durant basically framed it like, Mike stepped away when things got tough. What really made people pause, though, was LeBron James's reaction. At first, it looked like he tried to hold it in, but then he laughed. And that moment quickly became the focus. To a lot of viewers, it didn't feel spontaneous. It felt like something that had come up before, maybe even joked about off camera. But context is everything here. Jordan's decision to step away from basketball and play baseball came right after the tragic loss of his father, James R. Jordan Sr. For many, that wasn't about quitting. It was about grief, family, and honoring something deeply personal. That's why the comment hit differently. Once the clip started circulating, the reaction online was immediate. Fans and analysts didn't treat it like harmless banter. They saw it as crossing a line. The video spread fast, and the backlash toward both KD and LeBron only kept growing as more people weighed in.
This is nothing but a Michael Jordan deal, bro. A Michael Jordan headshot. And it's crazy coming for a like KD, who has literally talking about commitment.
And let's be real, Kevin Durant knows exactly what he's doing. He's a student of the game. He understands the history, the context, and what Michael Jordan's career really represents. That's why so many people took that line as intentional, not accidental. What made it worse was LeBron James's reaction. One player making a questionable joke is one thing, but when another superstar laughs along, it changes how the moment is perceived. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like a slip. It feels like a shared sentiment. And here's the issue. If you're going to take shots at Jordan, there's no shortage of basketball angles to go at. His time with the Wizards, his intensity with teammates, those are fair game in sports debates. But bringing up something tied to personal grief? That's where a lot of fans felt the line was crossed. Some people tried to downplay it, saying, KD didn't mean it that way. Maybe. But in moments like this, impact tends to matter more than intent. Once LeBron reacted the way he did, the conversation shifted completely, and the clip took on a life of its own online. What's ironic is both KD and LeBron often position themselves as focused on the game, not the drama. Yet somehow, moments like this end up creating exactly that. KD has always been known to respond to criticism, and LeBron has carefully managed his public image for years. But here, both of them found themselves at the center of a controversy They probably didn't expect to blow up like this. But as for Jordan, history shows he doesn't jump into every conversation, but when something crosses a certain line, he notices, and whether he responds publicly or not, moments like this don't just disappear. The interesting part is how this ties into the broader dynamic. It's not about personal dislike, it's about legacy. LeBron has openly acknowledged that he and Jordan aren't in regular contact, even mentioning in interviews, including one with Pat McAfee, that they don't really talk. That alone says a lot. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about one joke. It's about how every small moment feeds into the biggest debate in basketball: who really owns the crown.
You and Michael at a good spot.
Who, me and Michael?
Jordan?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. We don't talk.
Why not, you think?
Because I'm still playing.
LeBron James tried to explain the distance by saying Michael Jordan is just ultra competitive, that he doesn't really build relationships with players who are still active. And at first, that sounds reasonable, until you think about it for more than a second. Because the version of MJ people have seen over the years doesn't exactly match that explanation. He's built connections with plenty of players, including Kobe Bryant, where the respect clearly went beyond just competition. So when LeBron frames it purely as MJ being too competitive, it doesn't fully explain the gap. And then LeBron added something even more telling. He said maybe once he retires, things could be different between them. That part raised eyebrows, because relationships don't usually flip like a switch just because someone stops playing. If there's distance now, it usually means there's been distance for a while. That's why a lot of people read between the lines. You don't bring something like that up unless it's been on your mind. It hints that the gap isn't just professional, it feels personal, or at least complicated. And if you go back to moments like the NBA's 75th anniversary team ceremony, you can see why fans started speculating. When Jordan came out, he was warm and animated with a lot of players. But his interaction with LeBron? Quick, polite, and over in a flash. No drama, just brief. Now, to be fair, reading too much into a few seconds of body language can be misleading. But in a debate this big where every interaction between two all-time greats is magnified, those small moments get dissected. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be personal dislike. Sometimes it's simpler than that. Two icons, two eras, both sitting at the center of the greatest of all-time conversation. That alone can create a kind of distance that no interview or explanation can fully smooth over.
Got it. Okay, guys, everybody.
The entire atmosphere shifted in an instant. What made it even more surprising was that, on LeBron James's own night and in his own arena, Michael Jordan seemed to show more genuine appreciation for Luka Doncic than for LeBron himself. And honestly, can you really blame him? It's not like LeBron hasn't stirred things up before, when he publicly crowned himself the greatest of all time after the 2016 NBA Finals. That moment quietly marked the first real strain in his relationship with Jordan.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
Before all of that, LeBron James never hid his admiration for Michael Jordan. He openly called MJ his idol, wore number 23 in his honor, mimicked his celebrations, and even said Jordan was the reason he started playing basketball in the first place. But then, in one defining moment, LeBron flipped the script and declared himself the GOAT while Jordan was simply at home, staying out of the spotlight. Now, Jordan is wired differently. He's ultra-competitive, but he also takes pride seriously. If someone wants to claim his throne, that's fine, but in his eyes, it has to be earned, not announced on a platform like HBO. And then there's the one-on-one debate. Every so often, old clips resurface of LeBron confidently saying he'd beat MJ in a prime versus prime matchup. It's not even framed with humility. He usually throws in a joke about needing wheelchairs or stretchers afterward, almost like he's hyping up a blockbuster showdown.
LeBron in his prime, Michael in his prime one-on-one. Who wins that game?
Myself, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna take myself versus anybody. I'll tell you one thing, they're gonna have a few wheelchairs and a couple ambulances there to get us off the floor.
And that's fine when you're talking about random players. But when it's the guy whose legacy you've been measured against your entire career, you can understand why Michael Jordan might not exactly smile at certain jokes or comments thrown his way. That's also why Kevin Durant's so-called baseball joke didn't land as something harmless to everyone. For some fans, it felt like it touched a much more sensitive part of Jordan's story, not just as an athlete, but as a person who has dealt with immense public scrutiny and personal tragedy. The reality is, Jordan's father, James Jordan Sr., was tragically murdered in 1993, a loss that deeply impacted him and his life off the court. Over the years, that period has also been surrounded by public speculation and rumors about Jordan's personal struggles, but there has never been any confirmed link connecting those theories to the circumstances of the tragedy. So when people bring up moments tied to that era of his life, even indirectly, it's not just banter in the usual sports sense. It hits a far more personal history, one that's shaped by grief, pressure, and a level of scrutiny few athletes have ever experienced.
There was a lot of heat on the fact that because of Michael's gambling habit, his father paid the price.
Michael Jordan didn't plan for what happened. It came suddenly, and the loss of his father, James Jordan Sr., hit him in a way that changed everything. The grief wasn't something he ever fully separated from his career, and it followed him through every chapter that came after. His father loved baseball, and that connection stayed with Jordan. So when Michael stepped away from basketball to pursue baseball, it wasn't some random decision or a publicity stunt.